Most property buyers today ask the same questions. Is this location good? Is this project near MRT? Is this development within 1 km of a good school? Is the developer reputable? And yes, these things matter. But there's one question that many buyers overlook. When you eventually want to sell this property, who exactly is going to buy from you? Because the truth is, buying a property is only half the journey. The other half is your exit. You can buy a beautiful development in a great location, but if there are too many competing sellers or the future buyers are limited, your exit may not be as straightforward as you think. And this is why I believe exit strategy is one of the most important, but also one of the most misunderstood concepts in property investing. Many people talk about exit strategy, but when you ask them, why will your property sell well in the future? The answer is usually, because I can sell to HDB upgraders, or because I can sell to young couples, because foreigners will buy. But the problem is, almost every property can be described this way. So how do we actually compare? How do we know which project has stronger demand? Which one has less competition? Which one gives you a higher chance of a successful exit? Hi guys, I'm Shelby, and before I continue, please hit the likes and subscribe button. Here's my details for a one-to-one consultation. Today, I want to share a framework that combines data, demand analysis, and supply competition to help buyers think about property differently. Understanding the real demand. First thing we need to understand is demand. A lot of people judge demand based on feelings. They always say, this area feels popular. I always see people viewing. The location is good, but feelings can be misleading. The best way to understand demand is to look at the result of demand. And the result of demand is transactions. Because when people genuinely want to buy in an area, it shows up through actual buying activity. One of the ways we can measure this is by looking at historical profitability. Because in an area with strong demand, buyers are willing to pay higher prices over time. Owners are able to exit successfully. Here's some examples of how I check based on historical profitability for projects. Case in point, Jadescape and Treasures. But in areas with weaker organic demand, sellers may struggle. Here are some examples. Here's what I mean based on the profitability. They may need to wait longer. They may need to reduce the selling price. They may even have to accept lower returns just to exit. So when analyzing a project, we should ask, has this area consistently attracted buyers? Have previous owners been able to exit successfully? Because strong demand creates options. And options are what allow sellers to exit confidently. Supply competition. Now here is where many buyers make a mistake. They focus heavily on location, but they forgot about competition. Think about this. If everyone is buying the same type of property, the same location, the same checklist, what happens? Everyone ends up competing for the same few projects. Prices get pushed higher, and when you eventually want to sell, you are also competing with many similar units. This is something I call supply competition. Many buyers look around an area and say, wow, there are so many condos here. Is this area oversupplied? But that's not the correct question. The important question is, how many competing units are actually available when you need to sell? An area can have many developments, but if very few sellers are selling, competition may still be manageable. On the other hand, an area with many similar units coming onto the market can create a very different situation. So one of the things we should measure is the supply ratio. Simply put, how many units are actually competing for buyers compared to the total number of units in that area. The lower this ratio, generally, the easier it is for your property to stand out. Because when you sell, you are not competing against every condo in Singapore. You are competing against the alternatives your buyer can realistically choose from. Why everyone following the same property rules can cause a problem. Now this brings me to a bigger market trend. Today, many buyers follow the same playbook. Buy RCR location, near MRT, near schools, good future, transformation, new launch. And there's nothing wrong with this. These are good fundamentals. But when everyone thinks the same way, demand becomes concentrated. Everyone rushes into the same areas. And when demand concentrates too much, prices can rise very quickly. The government has actually used a similar concept in the HDB market. Think about prime, plus and standard flats. Why introduce different categories? Because previously, too much demand was flowing into certain areas. Everyone wanted the same thing. By creating different segments, demand is split. Different buyers choose different products depending on their priorities. I believe something similar can happen in the private market. As more supply enters certain areas, buyers may start having more alternatives. For example, if RCR prices continue moving closer and closer to CCR prices, some buyers may start asking, why am I paying almost CCR prices for an RCR property? This creates a potential shift in demand. Not everyone buys for the same reason. Some buyers need schools, some need convenience, some simply want value. Demand is not one single group. Understanding where different groups of buyers may move in the future is important. Stop looking at PSF. Another common mistake buyers make is focusing only on PSF. They always see, this project is 2000 PSF. This one is only 1700 PSF. Therefore, the cheaper PSF must be better. But property is not purchased using PSF. People buy with budgets. A buyer does not walk into the market saying, I have a 1,500 PSF budget. They say, I have a $1.8 million budget. I need a 3-bedroom. I need a certain size. This is why quantum matters. A property with a higher PSF may still be more attractive if the overall quantum is manageable and future buyers can afford it. On the other hand, a lower PSF property may become difficult to sell if the quantum is too high. So, we need to look at both PSF gap, quantum gap. The question is not, is this property expensive? The question is this property expensive compared to what future buyers are willing and able to pay? Building an exit strategy framework. So putting everything together, we can create a framework. We look at number 1, demand strength. Are people actually buying in this area? Number 2, supply competition. When you sell, how many alternatives are your buyers choosing from? Number 3, entry position. Are you entering at a price where future buyers can still justify paying? No single data point can tell you everything. A good exit strategy is not about finding a magical property. It's about understanding the balance between demand, supply, competition, and price. Because ultimately, property is a game of finding the next buyer. So if you are buying today, I hope this gives you a different perspective. Instead of only asking, is this a good property? Ask, 5 years from now, who will be my buyer? Why would they choose my unit instead of the other options available? Because that is what determines your exit. And if you are currently looking at a few projects and you are unsure which one gives you the strongest exit potential, feel free to reach out. Here's my WhatsApp number and socials. I can help you analyze the project based on demand, supply competition, and pricing gaps. The goal is not simply to buy a property. The goal is to buy a property that gives you options when it's time to sell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.